Welcome to Still Evolving, where we explore the truth behind lasting performance and resilience. Rather than relying on perfection or superhuman ability, our conversation will highlight how real strength emerges through simple, intentional habits grounded in self-compassion, adaptability, and the ability to grow through life's inevitable setbacks. Today's guest is Dave Fahey. Dave is a seasoned media and advertising executive with a track record of building and leading high-impact, scaled sales and partnership teams in complex, rapidly evolving landscapes. As VP of Global Demand Partnerships at TripleLift, Dave partners with senior leaders and teams to drive growth, unlock strategic innovation, and foster performance cultures that thrive amid change. Blending commercial vision with grounded execution across native, display, and CTV channels. Prior to TripleLift, Dave was a senior executive at Google, where he spent nearly a decade leading U.S. and global sales teams. Dave's leadership philosophy is deeply shaped by his roots in college football, where his principles of mentorship, teamwork, and continuously coaching first took hold. That early experience taught him the value of preparation, visualization, resilience, and empowering others, since he carries into his work leading teams, scaling operations, and coaching leaders to do their best work. Outside of the office, Dave is a passionate college football fan, an avid cyclist, and a weekend golfer. He lives in Glen Ellen, Illinois, with his wife, daughter, son, and their chocolate lab, always striving to stay still evolving, both professionally and personally. Welcome, Dave Fahey, to the show. Dave, welcome to Still Evolving. Grateful to have you on the show and really looking forward to this conversation.
Thank you, Amy. Great to be here.
Awesome. Why don't we start off, share a little bit about yourself. So where'd you come from, a little on your journey, and what are you up to now?
Well, first off, thank you for having me. I'm grateful to be here. I appreciate the opportunity. So I'll go back the last 20 years or so. I started my career out of college in staffing, and I moved into consulting. And the last 20 years has been focused in ad tech, which is advertising technology for those who aren't in that part of the business. And we work with advertisers, we work with agencies, we work with publishers to make sure that ads show up in the right places and they resonate with their consumers. And as my career's evolved, I've worked for lots of different size organizations, spent nearly a decade at Google, at a company called TripleLift today, which works with publishers in the ad tech ecosystem. And as my career's evolved, I have been blessed to have had opportunities to explore new things, new jobs, new disciplines, which has been great for me. It's nourished my own soul in terms of energy and keeping me really engaged. But I'll point to one part of my journey that's been really important to me. About 2 years before I left Google, I was given a career coach, an executive coach. And at that period in my career, it was perfect. The timing was excellent. I was taking on a new role. It was a global role and new teams and working with different markets. And there was rich conversations to have with a coach. And this engagement was about 6 months long. Okay. And about a month before it was supposed to end, I was starting to get really energized, Amy, about the experience. And so I started asking my coach, hey, how did you get into that? What was your journey like? And she gave me a whole bio on her. She was a professor at Marquette, a professor at Loyola in Chicago, and had been doing this for quite some time. And there was an unlock moment for me, which was I love coaching. Going way back, I didn't talk about this yet, but I played football in college for a small D3 school, DePaul University, Greencastle, Indiana, go Tigers. And I thought when I was wrapping up my time there that I was going to continue coaching collegiately.
Okay.
And I decided in that last moment of desperation, I don't know what to do. I decided to go the business route and make some money because it's a challenge to be a coach and make money unless you're at the top of your game. Mike Tomlin, who's quite noteworthy today. So I thought I wanted to do that, but I decided I sort of put that in the background. But fast forward back to that moment with that coach in that time, asking her about her journey, I realized that was the itch I needed to scratch. I thought I wanted to coach collegiately, thought I wanted to coach athletics, but it was about my journey in business that I could connect coaching to that. And so that started me on a journey of exploration around coaching. And as I was asking her more questions, so what's your what's your end goal? What are you hoping to get out of it? Where would you like to focus? And of course, I didn't have any real answers to any of those questions. I hadn't really thought about that. But as we started talking more about it, she said, well, it sounds like you are probably more academic versus going the traditional route of an ICF or some other traditional coaching program, which is what I wound up doing. So I went to Northwestern, I went through their program, and it was great because what I was really looking for was theory. I wanted to understand different aspects of coaching so that I could recompile all of those elements into something that was meaningful for me. And so as I continued to advance in my career, and as my career continues to evolve, coaching is at the core, it's at the center of what I do. And it gives me a lot of energy. It gives me a lot of, it's sort of reinvigorated my passion for what I do, because now I can see the results of the work that I do with my coachees. And it's not just about a traditional coaching scenario where someone pays you to do that. It happens every day. It's an everyday event with anyone in my organization or anyone around me. And in some cases, even my family. It's just a sort of gives you a framework for how you show up and how you interact with the people around you.
How you support, how you challenge them, right? Like, and helping them kind of in their pursuit of whatever is most fulfilling or kind of whatever that target is. I hear you integrating that coaching expertise into your role as an executive leader and how you strengthen and build your teams, the individual performers on the team. It's interesting. The best coaches in sport that I've come across, I always joke with them, that are also the best sports psychologists, right? Like they are always learning, always open to learn, always looking at the holistic picture, right? Much beyond X's and O's or the sport skill training programs. I've always joked with them that they're also some of the best sports psychologists around, even though they may not have some credential behind their name or formal education or training. They have really opened themselves up to understanding, if we compartmentalize, the mental side of the performance. So I appreciate
100%.
how you have found how valuable coaching skills have become as an executive leader and how you work with your team. I'm curious, it could be along that vein or maybe something else comes to mind. But when challenge or adversity strikes and you're leading this team, what have you found that helps you be able to navigate that challenge or adversity such that it becomes honestly a propellant towards opportunity and growth?
Yeah. So there's a couple of, I'll quote a couple of my old coaches here in this. I think there's a couple ways of approaching it.
Yeah.
For me personally, it's faith. It's a faith-based approach to adversity and overcoming that adversity.
Yeah.
It's not blind faith. It's, there's work to be done. We're all given unique skills and talents, and it's up to us to actually put those to use. And probably the most important thing is, and what you can control, is how you show up and your attitude and how you react to those particular situations. It could be a rollover and I'm going to give up, or I'm going to stand up and I'm going to face this head on. Not easy, but it's the way that you show up and it's the way that you react to the situation. I think it is super important. Having a plan and then executing against that is the most important thing. When we start thinking about approaching the challenge, I'll give you an example. I lost my job. I think a lot of people have gone through this recently, or at some point in their career, they go through a job loss situation.
Yeah.
It could be an ego, chip away your ego, could be very humbling. It can hurt your bank account. There's lots of things that can happen as a result of losing your job. It's challenging. The most important thing is for you to create a plan and execute against that. I had a coach, Tim Reha, again, DePaul University, go Tigers. Coach Reha told me once that either you're going to do it or you're not. And there's nothing you can worry about.
As Yoda says, there is no try.
There is no try. You just gotta do it. The other is visualization. So resiliency, adversity, all of those things are interlinked. And oftentimes confidence in being able to attack adversity comes from repetition or comes from experience. We don't always have that experience though.
Right.
So for some who are starting out in their career, they may not have had a job loss situation. So they don't have that to fall back on. They don't know how to react to that situation. And others like myself, I've been through it and I've come out on the other end. And so I can rely on that experience. For those who haven't, and even those who have and still need to create more focus around it, it's really about visualization. It's about being able to visualize the situation and what you want to accomplish.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Another quote from another coach, Nick Morosis: mental is to physical as 4 is to 1. So translation is, you think about it 4 times mentally. It's like doing it once physically. So if, a job loss is your situation and you're thinking about your next job and you're thinking about that interview that you're going to be going on, visualizing it and really being intentional about that, thinking through it 4 times is like doing it once physically. There's a great story that he used to tell us. I don't know how true it is. He used to tell a lot of tall tales, but one of the stories that he told was about a Vietnam POW who was in captivity for a number of years, and he would visualize playing the golf course in his neighborhood, in his town. He would play every hole, and this went on for days and months and years, and he would visualize that golf course. Now the story ends that he came home. Thankfully, he came home, and then he shot even par on that golf course when he got back. Now, whether that's a true story or not, it brings home the point that the more you think about it, the more you visualize, the more that it's going to actually happen for you.
Absolutely. I appreciate a number of things in your response. First, you start off talking about when the setback occurs, how we all react. We're humans. We're going to have the reactions of disappointment, the ego hit, perhaps maybe the frustration, the anger, the fear, right? With the uncertainty. You mentioned how it can impact us in a lot of different ways. We are human and we will have those human responses. It's a normal reaction to an abnormal event. Let's just normalize it. And the first aspect that you shared was your faith. And perhaps it's not blind faith. I heard you note that there's something in your faith practice that really helps you. And I would suspect helps you work through some of that emotion, perhaps the fear, perhaps the disappointment or anger, but the faith and the practice of your faith helps ground you. And I just want to call that out. We talk a lot on this show about the power of connection. And oftentimes that's connectivity to others. Sometimes we're talking about the connection, the relationship we have with ourselves, our inner dialogue, what we're saying to ourselves. And a number of times also we call out the power of connection with something greater than yourself.
Yeah.
And that spiritual/religious, however it manifests for you as an individual, how powerful that can be, especially in times of stress and adversity, kind of the life's punches get you. And I've seen it incredibly powerful and grounding to help work through those reactions right out of the gate. You mentioned, secondly, the plan. And working against the plan, and then a very specific tool, the visualization that helps you in your execution of the plan. And I think it's a very powerful reminder, right? Like that it is a process when adversity strikes. We have the human reaction. We have the opportunity to then have that frontal lobe kick back on, organize thought, analyze the challenge, and then develop the plan and then take action aligned with it. So
Yeah.
super powerful reminders there. Absolutely. You have a lot of lessons learned, influence from your sport days and your football experience as player and coach, and certainly are now coaching others with that. Are there other takeaways, the mental side of the game that you would like to share back, kind of like the power of mindset perspective that you have seen translate not just on the field, but into private industry?
There are, by the way, I love this. This is such a great conversation. Um, I think that this is super rich, and I hope that your audience is enjoying this as much as I am. You mentioned connection, and connection is super important. And for me, it's really, I'm gonna share. I'm gonna pull back the curtain on my soul. I am an introvert, and I suffer from the occasional bout of social anxiety. I'm in sales. Those two things are like oil and water, or you would think.
You would think, but
Can this person operate in a sales environment well? And it's not easy. It takes work, it takes effort, it takes a plan. that you have to execute against. And for someone like me, and I'm sure there are others out there that feel the same way and probably have felt some shame or maybe lesser than
Mm,
because they're in that business that requires someone to be an extrovert, and social anxiety is is a sign of weakness. But I can assure you that you can master it. One thing that I've learned from a connection standpoint is that life is not transactional. When I was younger and earlier in my career, and I'll, just think sales, I used to think it was make the sale and then move on to the next one, wash, rinse, repeat. That's your goal.
yeah.
It's absolutely the opposite. Life is not transactional. We meet people and everyday situations. We need to be more intentional about those relationships, harvesting and nurturing those relationships. What's amazing, and I think once people start to really lean into that concept, is that we're all really connected. We're all
Yeah.
super connected individuals. I was just in Las Vegas last week for CES and massive groups of people, and I'd walk into a room of 100 or so folks, and I would meet a person I'd never met before, and just with a conversation, you realize how many people you know in common
Yeah.
or your common experiences, or you're learning from each other, but it's because of the way that you approach that situation, not a transactional meeting, but hey, how do we really take advantage of this moment and get to know each other and learn from each other?
Yeah.
That's the sort of the rich texture tapestry, if you will, of
Right.
life that I think that I've had to learn over time. It wasn't easy. It was immediately out.
The power that comes with that shared understanding, the collective, like whether it's social anxiety, we all have our thing. That's what I was talking. We all have our thing, right? And yet there's a shared understanding of what it means to be challenged and what it means to overcome. And that process, it's not a linear one. It's a messy one. And I appreciate that, the power that comes from let's just slow down in this very fast pace. Who's next on the calendar? Who's next to text, email? Let's just take a moment and like truly connect and be real. So great reminder. Great reminder.
I had a moment. I was sitting on the couch with my wife a few years ago, and we were watching Ted Lasso. I don't know how many people on your show have
I'm in.
referenced Ted Lasso. Okay, great, because there's so many life lessons. It's chock full
I'm in.
of life lessons. One of my favorite episodes was the pub scene where they're throwing darts, and he quotes Walt Whitman, which I think was misquoted, but be curious, not judgmental. And that has led me in many conversations or many situations. Take a step back and don't come in with your preconceived thoughts, notions, judgments, but be curious. And it's the old adage, you got to understand to be understood. It's important that we sort of take a lesson out of Ted Lasso's playbook. Yeah.
I love it, Dave. We always wrap up with that immediate actionable strategy. And I just want to reiterate that one. The power of curiosity is tremendous. And whether that's in a critical conversation through conflict, or even when we use that all the time when we're in diligence process, right? Like if trying to better understand something, we're really trying to look at it from very many angles. Oftentimes in conflict or challenging conversations, we kind of close in and we put the walls up and arm the defenses with whatever that might be, comebacks or listening to be able to respond. But if we can take a deep breath and flex into that curiosity, it can really help us even more significantly in that challenge. So wonderful tool. Dave, it's been a pleasure. I hope we can continue these conversations. Thank you so much for being on Still Evolving.
Thank you, Amy. It was a pleasure.